is from, when I get my paperwork, just bear with me, from the Department of Infrastructure, Transport, Regional Development and Communications. And the Senate has resolved that an officer of a department of the Commonwealth shall not be asked to give opinions on matters of policy and should be given reasonable opportunity to refer questions asked of the officer to superior officers or to a minister. This resolution prohibits only questions asking for opinions on matters of policy and does not preclude questions asking for explanations of policies or factual questions about when and how policies were adopted. I particularly draw the attention of witnesses to an order of the Senate of the 13th of May 2009 specifying the process by which a claim of public interest immunity should be raised. Witnesses are specifically reminded that a statement that information or a document is confidential or consists of advice to government is not a statement that meets the requirements of the 2009 order. Instead, witnesses are required to provide some specific indication of the harm to the public interest that could result from the disclosure of the information or the document. So, for the Hansard record, if you could please all give your name and the capacity in which you appear today.
Christine Dacey, Deputy Secretary, Transport Group.
Maria Bridger, First Assistant Secretary, Transport Policy Division.
And Philip Smith, First Assistant Secretary, Infrastructure Investment Division.
Paula Stagg, Assistant Secretary, Land Transport Policy Branch.
Thank you very much. Now I'm going to give you the opportunity to make an opening statement.
No.
Don't have one?
Statement, no.
I've got one. Were your ears burning earlier?
In a good way, I hope, Senator. No.
Well, you weren't in trouble. You weren't the target of my irritation. But a letter that you wrote to me in your previous role. With your previous department and your previous minister. Fancy that. So you're still not in trouble. And I know it's a different...
It's early yet though, Senator.
Yeah, it's early yet. How long ago did you... I've got to get this off my chest, Miss Stacey. How long ago did you leave Immigration and Border Protection?
Middle of 2018.
Too long. You wrote to me in April 2016.
Okay.
Where I wrote to you as chair of this committee with a concern that there was some exploitation of the foreign visa system in student visas. And there was truck drivers. Do you remember that? They had the... I know it's a long...
In a general sense, I do believe we had a couple of conversations about it, yes. And there was one incident in particular, I recall.
No, I'll let you off, okay, because you've been gone 2 years. But your department turned up here today and had absolutely no idea. And you'd wrote to me saying that the department's currently undertaking investigative activity in regards to the misuse of the student visa program targeting employers, education providers and other facilitators of breaches under the Migration Act of 1958 and associated regulations. And you said to me it is not appropriate for me to comment or provide further information in relation to these operational matters. So I'd said that there was the exploitation of the foreign visa system where student visas were coming here driving trucks. The drivers got fined, they couldn't drive the truck properly, they'd all sourced their licences. What's the word I can use? Near on illegal, but there was rorting from an RTO in New South Wales and all that. And I was very critical as I wrote to the previous minister, who I think is an absolute disgrace for the way he's just tried, and this is Mr Dutton, who he tried to sweep it under the carpet with support from Mr Pizzullo. And I was asking the department today, where are we up to from this 2016 letter? And they sat there like stunned mullets.
I think, I haven't been there. It's closer to 3 years now.
You're not in trouble. I'm just telling you.
Okay.
They got you. No, I'm going to help you out. They got you to write that, and I'm blaming Pizzullo. He's the head of he's the one who gets the $1 million or whatever it is, to bull dust to this committee that nothing was going to get done anyway. You're just the poor devil that had to write it, thinking that the minister and Pizzullo would be doing the right thing when they give the bird to the committee. There you go. Now, Miss Stacey, would you expect anything else from me when I'm wound up? So you're not in trouble?
No, but it's early days yet, Senator.
No, you're not in trouble. Okay. No, this is the end of this magnificent inquiry. So now I want to ask a few questions, and I want to go, and I won't keep you long. I want to go to the design and construction and funding of heavy vehicle rest areas in this nation. So I've been asking questions all over the place, and I still haven't got the right people yet, but I'm going to get there. And we do know, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Commonwealth is a major funder, particularly along major freight routes, correct, in our nation?
Correct. Yep.
Yep, great. So does anyone sit down and when the money's being sprinkled around, the announcements are being put out, to say, in terms of road safety, in the regions and getting close to the cities, that we have to have a heavy vehicle rest area strategy and we need to build that into the funding of roads and upgrades?
Certainly under the funding model, rest stops can be funded.
Sorry, rest stops?
Rest stops, truck stops can all be funded under a variety of different packages that the government's got.
Sorry, I'm sorry, just hard to hear, Mr. Pitt.
Sorry.
Can be funded?
Can be funded, yes. They certainly
okay.
can be funded. There's no issue with being able to fund it. Obviously, we rely on our state jurisdictions for delivery. And so if they build that into the design of things, and there's a number of projects where we could point to where they have been built in, and you'd be familiar with Bruce Highway upgrades and things like that, where there's a number of truck stops built in. But there's certainly no impediment under our funding mechanisms for those to be built in as roads are designed.
Sure, but that's got to be driven by the states, does it? Does the state have to come out and say, gee whiz, we really want the Commonwealth's fair share of this? It's not the Commonwealth, it's the taxpayers, but let's just say it's the Commonwealth collecting it on behalf of the taxpayers and distributing it. But we do have to recognise that we've got plenty of heavy vehicle movements on this route, and we should build in heavy vehicle rest areas every so far. But do you rely on the states to say that to you?
Well, my I guess I look after the funding side of things, so we work with the states on the design.
Handy. You and I could become good mates in the next half hour.
And certainly there are a number of projects where we do that. I wouldn't say it's solely the domain of the states to build that in, but there's certainly programs around, like the Targeted Road Safety Works, the Bridges and Heavies, where there are a number of those rest stops and truck stops that have been built into the programs.
Okay, because what I'm trying to get to, I'm not trying to trip you up, Mr. Smith. You guys aren't the baddies yet. So I'm tongue-in-cheek at the moment. But, so what you are telling me, there is no see, like I'm trying to say is, you're building roads and they say, we want 400, 600, 800 million, 1.2 billion, whatever. Is there any safety standards that have to be met that the Commonwealth demands must be part of road infrastructure? Whether it be road separation, whether it be wires, whether it be, guardrails or anything like that? Do you do anything? I mean, you just wouldn't throw it at the states, would you? Say, here's the money you wanted, good luck.
Just give us a moment, Senator, and we'll just get Gabby O'Neill up. And you and Gabby had a good chat last time.
Hello, Miss. Oh, we did too. How are you?
Well, Senator Steele. Gabby O'Neill, Head of the Office of Road Safety, Assistant Secretary. So with our new road safety program, we've definitely got the standards, the road safety standards that we want built in for the upgrades. So we're working towards, we have a number of truck rest stops in there, particularly in the very remote areas, and we're making sure that they're to the Austroads standards.
All right, thanks for saying that. So while you got your big file in there, please you can tell me where all those heavy vehicle rest stops are that are programmed to be built in this latest round of funding. You got that for me?
I haven't got that, but they are in the 698 projects delivered through the questions on notice that are coming to you from the last hearing.
Oh, right, because I haven't seen those answers. Have you provided the answers?
Pardon?
Has the department provided the answers that I asked last
They're
time?
making their way to you. They're going through their approvals process to come to you, yes.
So we've got budget estimates. What have we got? 3 weeks, 4 weeks time. So hopefully they won't be far away, so I can go through them. Okay, because what I'm trying, I'm trying to establish, I believe there should be actually as another box to tick when we talk about heavy vehicle rest areas. So I'll still wait for the answers to come back to questions on notice. But so am I right to assume that there is not a box ticked or a box provided on every application funding for heavy vehicle rest areas outside of the major cities?
No, there's not, because the way our projects come in at the moment, they're looking at, network safety gaps. So they're filling gaps. So it's there's work to be done. So where the rest areas are now is mapped, and I think there's further work to be done around where the gaps are. So as that progresses over time, we'll be able to build those in.
Okay, so who does that work?
So I believe Dr. Rawlings has the map of the, Vitra has the map of the
Oh, good.
rest stops and the
Oh,
facilities
this
available.
is good. Okay.
Senator Louise Rawlings, head of the Bureau of Infrastructure and
Hello,
Transport
Doctor.
Research Economics. We have been working over the last period to settle the design of a national freight data hub.
National Freight Data
National
Hub.
Freight Data Hub, that's correct.
What is that? Sorry to cut in on you.
So it was a 1920 budget announcement, $5.2 million to settle the design. So we've been working closely with industry around what the key data priorities are. And we've been working on a business case and a prototype website, and we're working towards public release shortly. And as part of that, we will have visualisation, a national map of all the rest stops, including whether or not there are amenities, toilet facilities and that sort of thing. So yeah, we are hoping to release that in the public domain shortly.
Shortly. So who is on this reference group, or who is the industry representatives you're speaking to?
So we've had close industry involvement from the likes of Woolworths, Toll, Australian Logistics Council. I can get the full list to you, and we've worked closely with them over 2 years, testing what the kind of enduring data gaps are, what the highest value use cases are. So we're working on origin, destination, congestion data, as I say, rest stops. We've got a whole kind of priority list of things that we want to keep moving forward.
Okay, so in terms, and I understand Toll is a major operator on rural and regional, I get all that, and you will provide me a list. Are there any other operators, to the best of your knowledge, on that list rather than clients of the transport industry?
Yeah, we've got a range of transport operators. So we've got Cube Logistics, and we've got Finamore. We've got a range of operators that have been closely involved in the process.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
and are they
ports.
represented, sorry?
Sorry, Port. We've got New South Wales Ports as well. Yeah, we've got Freight and Logistics Council in WA. Yeah, a range.
You've got Western Roads Federation from WA?
No, Freight and Logistics
Oh.
from WA as well.
Oh, yeah, okay, so these are the ministerial councils put together.
Not ministerial councils, sort of like an industry body. Yes.
I'm sorry, industry body put together
Yes.
by the minister, I should say.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. Trust me.
Yeah.
they are.
Okay, and I'll get the full list of you.
Yeah,
to you.
because if I was saying you want to speak to West Australia, I'll give you a completely different set of names.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking, because I'm trying to ask the actual, you see, and good on them sitting down wanting to talk about where we want the rest areas and all that, but nothing beats asking the men and women who hold the steering wheel. And this is the sad lack that the truckies don't get asked. And if you'd followed this, I know you've been following this committee intently all the way through, but you'll see it's a common theme in this nation. It's the disgrace to what is our national heavy vehicle rest areas. And you know my view about toilets and showers and all that sort of stuff. Is there any opportunity for, well, you'll come back to me with that list, but is there any, do the state transport or trucking organisations, are they on that advisory?
The
group?
data that we're looking to visualise initially is from the National Heavy Vehicle Regulator and also state and territory data, and putting it on a national map and then being able to look at it in a kind of interactive way. So we have, in a sense, had state and territory involvement through the provision of the data.
Okay. Now, in terms of this hub, so when you said a freight hub, the first thing I'm thinking about is a massive warehouse somewhere where trucks are running into. Well, what actually will it be?
So a hub, I guess, is, in a sense, initially it'll be a prototype website. It'll be a website.
Yep.
And we've got kind of a series of projects as well. So I guess a hub, I picture, there'll be analytical insights. So we're doing some kind of pilot projects around congestion. We're doing another pilot project working on trying to figure out origin and destination movement of particular commodities. So at the moment we don't have a really good understanding enough of what is flowing from where on land in Australia.
Sure.
So there's kind of a range of projects. So so sort of insights, the data piece, some visualisations, some dashboards. That's kind of the hub in a sense. Yeah, but in a sense, it's a virtual piece.
So, all right. Now, we took evidence earlier on from the National Road Freighters Association, and I know what they're talking about because I actually did it a couple of weeks ago, and they were talking about, let's talk about the North Connects project in New South Wales, which the Commonwealth were major funders of that. And what they said was they'd lost all their parking areas and places they used to pull up because now they've got to go through the tunnel. They're not allowed to go around. I know it's state, but I've got to tell you, this is what I've got to bring to you guys federally or nationally or in the Commonwealth. That from Pheasant's Nest through to Wyong, and I can't remember how, was that about an hour, Jerry? What do you reckon, mate?
Yeah.
About an hour?
Well, I said that before.
Yeah, okay. And then you got like your B-doubles and I went up on a Sunday, it was like dodging cars. I don't think people stay at home on Sunday, they just go drive the new roads. Where our truckies have got nowhere to pull up.
So
And I know you're not going to solve the problem here now, but this is you can see the anger coming from the trucking industry saying, who designed all this crazy stuff? And not all of those truckies are coming, going just loaded in pheasant. Is it cool? I just said it.
Pheasant's Nest.
Pheasant's Nest and then they're only going to Wyong.
So another piece is, well, so first step we want to visualise, as I said, and we have, released the map of where the rest stops are. But then we do have some telematics data as well. So Bitra's worked with a few providers, Toll, Australia Post and others to get the telematics data. We've released some papers on what that telematics data tells us. And so we've got, it's only a small sample, but it can tell us where trucks are stopping and where the key kind of areas are that are under high demand. And we're hoping to build on that over time.
Sean, can I just show this, Dr. Rawlings? And this came up earlier on, I think Ausroads was saying it, to take the data from where trucks stop. Well, trucks will stop only where they can stop. That's not the solution, and this is what the truckies are saying loud and clear, and it's all very well for Australia Post. They've got their own challenges at the moment to think where do their trucks stop. I mean, but if there's, because the bigger problem is the serious lack of quality rest areas and toilets and all that sort of stuff. So how do we turn that ship around?
So Senator, I think not only will the data tell us where trucks stop, but we'll be able to also see, as you've said, where trucks are not stopping and where there are long distances between those stops. So it flushes out not only the positive, but the negative as well, which is why we're so keen for this project to land, because it's going to give us some quite valuable insights.
And we think this will be here soon, you said?
Yes, yeah. I
How
would say.
soon?
I'd say
Next week?
I'd say it'll be in the public domain over the next month or so.
Okay, and where does that go to?
So then it will be released publicly and, can be used by all stakeholders. And then, so we've done the design work, and then I guess the next stage is we're putting a case to government to make that an ongoing hub.
So, okay, so is it with the intent to say to the government, if you're going to fund road upgrades or whatever, you need to look at this before you make any decisions? Is that what the whole, I'm trying to simplify it.
I'd
Or
have
do we-
to defer to my
yeah.
policy colleagues.
If
yeah.
I just explain the normal way, we look at a raft of data, network analysis. This data would obviously be invaluable from a planning and freight side of things. And you then work with the states, work up proposals, put those proposals through to government for consideration through their normal budgetary processes. And so this sort of information helps really make informed investor type decisions. So it'll be certainly invaluable from our point of view to have access to this information.
Sure, okay. Now, we've heard evidence too, even before today, and if it's a state thing, tell me, but I've got to ask you anyway, at least you'll get me on the right path. When a duplication of a highway is now done, and the old highway's not used anymore, whose decision is what happens to that old highway? Is that you guys as part of the funding, or was it the state thing?
No, it's generally the state.
State, okay.
It's they're state-owned assets, so they'll be
Sure.
under their
Okay,
control.
that's it. Okay, now as part of your data collection, is it possible to get truck driver representation on that? Because what you hear and what's actually happening out there, gangs, it's two different things. Can that be possible?
So I think we want to look now at representation. Through the design phase, we've done, had a particular group of people, but we need to kind of look at that all the time to check it's fit for purpose, so we can go away and look at that. Yeah.
Because there's many truck drivers out there who'd be very happy to tell your agents or your officers what they... And I don't think that's not a bad thing, because these are the men and women who are hurtling down the highway, trying to squeeze in the fatigue management and all the other crap that's going around them, and cars pulling in front of them and all that sort of stuff. So how would you seek engagement from truck drivers?
Well, we would work with our policy colleagues to look at your
So
channels.
Senator, they would work with us
Yep,
in
surface
the
policy.
policy space.
Yep.
I think we'd have to take a look at, you know, the list of who's on the list. Are there any peak bodies that particularly represent truck drivers or trucking associations and the like? We would then go from there.
Yeah, I suppose what I'm leading to, and I've got the greatest respect for the state trucking organisations, make no mistake about that. And I've got great respect for other players in the industry, but there's a few that I wouldn't even waste oxygen on, who might tell you that they represent truck drivers. Their interpretation of representing a truck driver might not be the actual person with the steering wheel in their hand. You get where I'm going?
Yep.
So what I'd like to say there is it that hard to put out I don't know, put out something through the associations requesting feedback from the truck drivers? How hard's that? There's a body of work to do. The truckies won't be back and forth and coming and telling you, but I think it could be invaluable. And that's not to discount the hard work of the state transport associations, okay, who do a great job.
So I think in addition to the points Dr. Rawlings has made, Senator, there has been stakeholder consultation on the priorities for the Freight Data Hub. So a discussion paper, several discussion papers I think have been released on the hub.
Sorry, Ms Stagg, sorry, I may have confused the issue. I wasn't talking about the development of the hub, but I'm actually talking about where, for future projects, when there's road upgrades or there's road upgrades going
My
now.
apologies, Senator.
Yeah, so where those heavy vehicle rest areas should be.
So essentially,
Sorry, Ms Stagg, did I make that clear? I may have.
Yeah, my apologies. I
Oh, that's
confused
right,
it with the opportunities for stakeholders to identify
Now,
the
this is
data
the world
into the hub.
according to Stirl. You're in Stirl's world now. That's so 5 minutes ago. We moved on.
Yep.
We might come back to it in another 5, but sorry to confuse you.
Sorry, Maria, I cut you off.
No, I was just going to say that normally when we're going out and doing works and Phil and his team are engaging with jurisdictions, we do rely on the state guidelines or the territory guidelines that many of them have built upon the Austroads work. So we're using that as sort of embedded within the project work per se, to ensure that, you know, the guidelines are met and requirements are satisfied. But with regards to going out and actually seeking feedback from a specific driver or specific group, I think that would be where we would need to defer to the states essentially, because we work with them in determining the priorities.
But Miss Bridget, you know, help me out here, okay? The states, oh, God almighty, who's got the biggest chest, hairy chest brigade? Well, that's fine, but you guys actually control a lot of the road funding on our national highways. Really, I mean, seriously, you're the boss. You are the boss. They come to you, cap in hand. You don't go to them, cap in hand. And if I had to hold my breath waiting for the states to do anything, trust me, I wouldn't even do it. So that's why I come back to you guys. And it's not a criticism. I'm saying you have the levers. You are the grown-ups. So surely you could actually seek that. I'm asking, can't you seek that information? Can't there be? Look, you obviously put out something and say, hey, we're going to updo the highway between here and there, blah, blah, point A and point B. But if it's a national freight route or a transport route, how hard is it to get feedback from the drivers? I don't mean, sorry, Mr. Smith, I'm not telling you to ring every 209,000 truck drivers in Australia. I'm just asking if there's something, there's a week, open up, make some, you know, give us some suggestions.
It's probably worth pointing out every major project, every state's got their own planning and design rules, including public consultation. There's opportunities there. So I'm not saying that's the panacea for everything, but there is opportunity for individuals to make submissions there. We, the department, meet with a range of parties all the time. That includes individual truck drivers from time to time, and that is very informative in terms of, you know, green reflectors, those types of aspects. So there's a variety of means.
I have heard that there's an ongoing conversation, and I think that's fantastic. Good.
So I guess there's a variety of sources of information that we pull together. Are you asking if there's an overarching forum for that? No, there's no overarching forum for individual truck drivers at this stage.
Yeah, sure. So okay, and you've explained that. What I am asking to say, how hard is it? I don't want you to go to every truck driver in the country. I'm just saying if there is some way, I mean, look, there's trucking magazines they read, there's roadhouses they stop out at fuel stations. Sure, I mean, you'd find them if, let me tell you, the states would find them if they hadn't paid the fine for making a spelling mistake in their work diary, trust me. That's all I'm asking. How hard could that possibly be? I really don't want all the excuses why you can't. I just want to know, is that possible? Could it be put on the agenda to talk about?
Senator, I think anything is possible, right? Anything is possible with enough money, time and will. We are balancing out how we deliver major infrastructure projects. The states are our service delivery partners. They control the vast majority of the technical expertise. As you rightly point out, we are co-funders, either 50-50 or 80-20, depending on what the project is. I think what you're asking is, could we make it a condition of funding?
Yes.
And I think the answer in the absolutely black letter law is, if we could, we would, before we got anywhere near that point, be very cognizant of, would it slow down delivery? What would it do in terms of our road safety objectives? And you said a couple of times then, I don't need you to go and talk to every truckie. You would know, as well as I do, that if I go and talk to these 10 people who have a very strong vested interest in it, you can often end up with a whole bunch of people who feel that does not reflect their view, and you can just open up a different set of... So I'm trying to answer your question honestly, which is...
I'm going to help you.
You could make it a condition of funding, but these are very big billion-dollar complex project delivery things, and we would have to be...
Miss Dacey, I sit here. I'll be at Senate estimates round number 48 next time, where I keep asking the same questions about where are we up to with this project? Has the shovel been turned? So that one didn't work. Sorry.
Well,
if it's just a simple, Miss Dacey, if it's a simple thing that is open for conversation for 7 days or something like that, you don't have to. You can say, no, look, forget it, it's too hard, and I'll just, because all the truckies are out there listening. Trust me, they're listening as we go, and I don't make this stuff up. I get the feedback from them, whether it's through submissions, whether it's through evidence, whether it's through my Facebook, or they phone me directly. And trust me, they phone me directly to tell me what they're thinking. So I'm just relaying the message. That's all.
Understood, Senator.
Okay, well, we'll see where that goes, boys and girls, and I don't mean you. I've talked about out there in the stratosphere. Now, I want to come to another one of my latest favourite things, truck vehicle designs, and I know it's going to be all pushed back on the state. So in this nation, in case you haven't heard me say this before, we've been very good at squeezing out an extra couple of inches here, there and everywhere, so we can get more freight on there and cart more free freight for the clients who don't want to pay. Now, what's raised its head in this inquiry, and I think it's a great thing that it has raised its head, is we're expecting our truckies to up and down the highway be as safe as possible and make sure they don't run over anyone else on the way through. We'll find them if they work a minute longer on their logbooks, or you know what I mean, just throwaway line. We expect them to pull over after X amount of hours, whether they're basic fatigue management or advanced fatigue management, or if it's the Western and Northern Territories settings. And what we have been told here very clearly, that there's many times they've got to get into a truck bay and they can't get in a truck bay because there's caravans or they're too small. And then there's a big fine that they're running the risk, okay? So I want to get back to vehicle standards and the size of the cabs. Can I talk to you guys about that?
You can talk to me about that, Senator Still. Anita Langford, Vehicle Safety Policy and Partnerships Branch.
Thanks, Ms Langford, that's great. So over the years, we've all, as you know, we've gone, everything used to be semis and then B-doubles and doubles and road train. There's that many configurations, I lose count now. So how can we get common sense where the cab, rather than just having the steering wheel, the dash, the seat and 36 inches behind, where a lot of our truckies are battling to fit in that's if they got 36 inches, why can't we have an extra 12, 14 inches on the back of the cab so they can have microwave, be able to stand up and take their shorts off and put them back on when they get up in the morning, put their jammies on standing up rather than sitting on the fridge, and they can have a microwave, and God help us, even a chemical toilet. How can we do that?
So we have a work program for ADR updates and for new ADRs, and essentially we work with states and territories on prioritisation of that work program. because the ADRs are not just about first suppliers, you know, they're also about in-service regulation. And if it passes an analysis of the costs versus the benefits, noting that someone would need to pay
Of course.
to adjust the trucks, then it's possible. Whether taking all of our other priorities into account, it's a priority, would be a separate question.
Whether it's a priority? Sorry, did you?
Agreed priority. Yeah.
Agreed priority. Who would think it's an agreed priority? Who would have that say?
Well, ultimately, the Minister determines the national road standards, but he takes advice and works with his colleagues in the states and territories.
So could it be as simple as me writing to the Minister here and to the state ministers saying, you want our truckies to be safe, but for crying out loud, you're not really giving them a fair chance. Give them an extra 12 or 14 inches so we can talk to vehicle manufacturers to get the bigger bunks, bigger cabs. I just have to write to the ministers and then hope the minister here picks up the cudgels. Is that how it works? Look, my hand's on my heart. I've got no idea. I really need help here.
So there's certainly a regulatory impact statement process that we have to go through before we make recommendations to government, but it's open to anybody to write to the minister about what they should think should be in the ADRs.
Sure.
Ministers, that's a good point.
All right, so don't cabbage my head, but anyone else who's listening, a regulatory impact statement, which I know I've heard about them before, where then everyone has the opportunity to say, no, we can't do that because of this reason. That's right?
Well, it's where we do an analysis of the benefits of what you're proposing and then also the costs and the impact on road safety. So,
okay, well, let's tick that. There's going to be a huge cost on road safety in the positive, because our truckers will be able to get better quality sleep and better conditions and those who may want a toilet in there. So where do I go? What do I do? How do we do this?
So if I might jump in, there's
Help
actually a
me.
proposal in relation to this that's been raised through the review of the Heavy Vehicle National Law.
It has?
So the National Transport Commissioner released a consultation regulation impact statement in June last year. One of the proposals in that was to increase the length of general access vehicles for the purpose of providing additional space for the sleeper cabin.
Great.
So that proposal is part of the Heavy Vehicle National Law Review, which will be considered by ministers next month.
Okay, then I also just things like, that could go from a cab over to a bonnet and it may give a bigger bunk. Okay, that's fine. But in terms of vehicles, so if you've got employers and operators and drivers who are actually saying, we'll give you the road safety savings here, saying that we can get bigger cabs, they're not built yet, that's what I'm trying to lead to, they're not built, because they're built in other parts of the world. So where do I go for that? Same thing? Because you see, you'd have to say to the truck manufacturers, you've got these cabs over in other parts of the world. The Americans have got bigger cabs. So what would be the impost there? I'd have to, what?
Well, if it was allowed under the Australian design rules as a result of these changes, then I would expect it to be a decision for the market in terms of demand from operators to purchase those vehicles for them to be supplied to the market.
But how do I get to the stage? How does the trucking industry get to the stage where they can then go back to the truck manufacturers and say, I want a bigger cab, bigger than what you're building now, and the manufacturer says, sure, no worries, it's law now. Who makes that law? Who's the one that's actually going to say, yes, see, because you can have add-ons. I can show you, everyone can show you photos. 50, 60-inch bunks.
Senator, I'm just trying to be clear. I just confirmed with my colleague, there's absolutely nothing stopping them now. I assume it's the economics of it.
No, it's length. So, if they want to, like you stretch out B double access is a this is the States, not you guys. B double access, you can have that much, but if you chuck a bull bar on, you're over length, you can't have it.
Yeah.
So you've got to have a cab over and you've got to have the smallest cab possible.
Yeah.
Whereas we know we can whack a bigger cab under there, bigger prime over, even it's got a bonnet. What the hell is an extra 6 foot or 3 foot or 2 inches or 12? I'm making this up as I go.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why, because the states say we're not getting access to that route because we don't want you to have a bigger sleeper bunk. You've got to cart more free freight.
Yeah, and I think that's where that's where the federated way that we work with our state and territory colleagues, is important, and that's where we're trying to work through some of these key issues.
So I know that a lot of them come down to the States, I know that, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying with you guys, can you make it easy? Can you play a part here, or do you play a part?
I think we are trying to through the heavy vehicle national law process.
We'll see how that one goes.
And we are seeking to influence and drive that forward, as best we can. But we are in partnership with the states and territories.
So the NTC are, that's right.
That's right.
So the NTC are putting that in front of the TIC, what used to be known as TIC, which is now IMMR or something, is that right?
ITM.
ITMM, yes.
Remind me what that is?
Infrastructure and Transport Ministers meeting.
Oh yeah, that makes sense, okay. All right, okay, well, we'll see how that goes. Look, on that, I don't have anything else. I just wanted to run those few things past you. I mean, we know where you are if we need to find you. But I know we're going into Senate estimates, you're going to have other things on your plate. Yep. But if there's some streamline or something that can give me, that I can pass on the industry, some assistance, because you see, when we start, I've got a headache. You see, every time I get to a department, I come with one problem and I leave with 8. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
And you're not in trouble, Miss Daisy. But your previous boss is a shyster. There you go.
I think
Anyway.
Hansard was turned off.
No, I hope it got on Hansard, what I said. I won't, don't worry, I didn't ask you to comment.
Thanks, Senator.
Thank you. See you.
Senator, we do have the full list that was on the consultation panel. Would you like that now, or would you
Please.
like it?
Let's do it on the record, then I can let you. No, that's
All
it.
right, we'll get it
that's
out of the
great.
way.
Well, thank you, Miss Bridget.
Is
Thank
that
you,
all right,
Doctor.
guys? Yep.
It's been SMS to you. Fantastic.
Thank you. So the chair of the...
Now, hang on, I'm a bit slow. Go.
Sorry, chair of the panel is Gail Milnes, who's a First Assistant Secretary in our department.
Oh, okay. Assistant
Yes.
Sec, yep.
Then we've got Daniel Mangelsdorf from GrainCorp,
So GrainCorp, yeah.
Peter Carney from Toll,
Yep.
Kirk Conningham, who is the outgoing CEO of the Australian Logistics Council,
Yep.
Simon Ormsby from ARTC,
ARTC.
well, it's freight across all modes.
Oh, I'm trying to think, where does he fit into highways and sleep?
No, it's
Okay. Yep, sorry.
all modes, thank you. Marika Kalfas from New South Wales Ports,
Yeah,
Ben Newton from Woolworths,
please.
Munro Farmer from Australia Post,
Australia Post, okay.
Nicole Lockwood from the Freight and Logistics Council, WA,
Yep.
Simon Burke from the Australasian Railway Association,
Australian Railway, yep.
Hermione Parsons, who is from the Centre for Supply Chain and Logistics at Deakin University,
Yep.
and Kirsten Malloy, Business Leader and Company Director, including NRMA, Hunter Medical Research Institute and RDA Hunter.
Right. Thank you kindly. And what are they called again? What's the...
It's the Freight Data Hub Industry Panel.
All right. Well, that's very helpful. Thank you, Doctor. That saves you coming back having to write something.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I just wish everyone safe travels back to the city? You're still in the city, are you? Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes. Yeah, thanks.
And we'll see you in
a couple of weeks.
a couple of weeks. Doesn't time fly when you're having fun? Right. Now, Jerry, we're a bit early, but are our Tasmanian friends close by?
Yeah, so Michelle should be coming on now.
That's brilliant. Oh, that's all right. That's more perfectly on time. No, that's fantastic. Thanks so much.